There are more and more doubts about the truth of the moon landings and other NASA space accomplishments. Most of my adult life, I was fascinated and profoundly impressed with everything NASA had managed to do and discover in space. However, at some point, even I had to admit that there are some unquestionable inconsistencies and even absurdities in the official story and numerous footages from space. Things which simply make no sense at all. One may say that space exploration is such a complex thing that you can't rely on simple logic to address all the operations properly. You have to be an engineer, astrophysicist, a specialist of some sort. I can agree that controversies, like the strange arrangement of shadows cast by astronauts on the moon, require expertise to reach a conclusive answer. However, fortunately, simple logic is absolutely enough to form questions that, strangely enough, no NASA specialist or space expert has addressed properly so far. Here is the first observation that I have made, because it's the most mind-boggling to me. The first part is dedicated only to it. This is the observation that I made some time ago and which caused me to make this video. I believe this is a problem where simple logic is more than enough to conclude that the truthfulness and authority of NASA and some top scientists should be put under dispute, to say the least. The question is, are stars visible from space? The answer to this yes or no question seems easy and leaves little space for speculations. Amazingly, it's not the case at all. In this picture, we see the night sky from the spot on Earth where the atmosphere blocks the starlight the least. So, logically thinking, visibility in space should be many times better. This logical conclusion is confirmed by utterances of scientists and astronauts.
Since the moon has no atmosphere, then a daytime picture, if you're there in the daytime of the moon, you see a full night sky of stars, even with the sun in the sky as well.
The thing about Carl Sagan, billions and billions of stars, there really are billions and billions of stars, and you can see them. In fact, they're so numerous, it's very difficult to pick out the constellations you and I see here on the ground. And I live in Colorado, and you get up on a clear night in Colorado up in the mountains where there's no light, and you can see all these stars. Well, multiply that by 1,000. That's what it's like in space. And then when you're outside doing a spacewalk, and you have that one or two opportunities where you can let your eyes adjust, you can start to notice that some of the stars have colors we don't see here on the ground.
Whilst
from
in
Mark
space,
Cameron. This is from Mark Cameron.
Whilst in space, have you ever looked away from Earth into the black void?
Yeah.
All
because
the
you can
time.
see.
Yeah,
because you can see the stars.
Oh yeah.
You know, and pretty much all the time you can see the stars.
Yeah. It's not
which
a
is
black
cool
void.
thing.
I mean, it's black, but there's all kinds of little polka dots.
There's all the stars there, and the cool thing is about it, you can see it during the day.
Yeah, you can, and there's more than stars. You can see planets. You can see moons.
You see the gas Magellan clouds of the
you
Milky Way
see
galaxy.
the Magellanic Clouds.
Magellanic. See, I just wanted the Magellan
well, there's a large
clouds.
one
I didn't
and a
want to
small one, right?
Yeah.
And
I feel very privileged to be here and to be part of this symposium. I'm actually really excited to know that all of you are together. And I had just a few things I wanted to share from this very unique vantage point. In the view outside from our cupola module, which has windows on all sides and allows us to see marvelous places, you know, coming and going, and also just gives us that perspective of looking down on the Earth and realizing that we are in an orbiting spaceship, and that when I look out at the stars and I see, you know, so many stars and planets, and know that, you know, we have a place in the universe, and it's in part of our job is to explore that place.
Well, when we look out the window, Emerson, the thing that we see and notice the most is planet Earth. Some of our best windows face the Earth, and it's very blue and very beautiful. So it's what we look at the most from the window. But we can also see stars if we're on the dark side of Earth and planets.
This statement is also confirmed by a super realistic film Gravity, where there are a lot of stars behind the characters. So how on earth is it possible that the astronauts from Apollo missions didn't see any stars at all?
When you looked up at the sky, could you actually see the stars and the solar corona in spite of the glare?
We were never able to see stars from the lunar surface or on the daylight side of the moon by eye without looking through the optics. I don't recall during the period of time that we were photographing the solar corona what stars we could see.
I don't remember seeing any.
Better than any sun you normally would see, even here in New Mexico. You have these extraordinarily high mountains. We were in a valley deeper than the Grand Canyon. But then you have this black sky, a sky blacker than black, as the old Vidicon expression used to be.
And what is even more weird and confusing is why do some contemporary astronauts and scientists maintain the Apollo accounts while at the same time their colleagues claim the exact opposite?
Just the inherent beauty of it, the velvet, bottomless bucket of the universe.
In like just hanging there in a vast sea of darkness, and the most frightening darkness that you could ever imagine.
This version in turn is confirmed by the live broadcast from the ISS space station, which never shows any stars, regardless of its current position. In conclusion, according to 6 experts and icons, plus Hollywood, space is full of starlight. According to other 6 specialists, it is black void, blacker than black. Since there is an inconclusive draw, I guess everybody has to choose what they want to believe about space. If the experts have got so lost about what should be extremely obvious.
Let's enlist the help of a friend. Thanks. You might know her.
Good morning. For the next hour, this panel will look at how NASA and Hollywood use advanced technologies and inspire one another.
We'll start this part with the curious and relevant question. Why haven't we gone back to the moon since 1972? This question, I can say, collided with this extremely bizarre answer given by the same NASA official who had told us, with his knowledgeable fellow astronaut, about space in part 1.
Go to the moon in a nanosecond. The problem is we don't have the technology to do that anymore. We used to, but we destroyed that technology, and it's a painful process to build it back again. But going to Mars should be one of the next series of steps that humans... The only limit to human future is in our own imaginations.
So, we could go to the moon in a nanosecond, but we destroyed this technology. What technology did we have that let us travel space distances in nanoseconds in 1970s? Teleportation? And we destroyed it? You mean like this? What the heck is he talking about? But let's just say that he had a really tough night, and what he meant in fact was we destroyed that technology. And let's just even say that by destroyed he meant lost. Even then, we face a very odd question. How could we lose the technology from 1970s, which was far more advanced than today's technology? You mean this miracle of engineering with the computer processor as powerful as in this calculator? But the most striking part of this utterance should reveal itself when we read between the lines.
The only limit to a human future is in our own imaginations.
So, the only limit to our future is not some technology, existing or lost. No, it's NASA's imagination. The second issue is also connected with NASA's incredible negligence. Did you know that all telemetric data from the Apollo missions has been lost? This is what a NASA archives attendant told journalists who actually wanted to prove to all skeptics that we did land on the moon.
Right. We've been unable to track it down. I mean, we don't know where this telemetry data ended up, and we don't know what path it may have taken. So, unfortunately, I'm afraid I can't really give you much of a clue as to where this data ended up and whether it still exists or not.
Another NASA official confirms that.
I haven't seen anything that indicates the telemetry data is even in existence, and as I said, even if we had it, we don't have the machines to play it back.
But your own research has shown the telemetry data is missing.
That's right.
Shouldn't the data from the moon missions be the most precious thing in the human history? We have managed to preserve the original historical documents and the abundance of art, but there is no trace after the materials from the most difficult achievement in the entire known history of the humankind. The explanation I came across doesn't help much. It says NASA may have erased the original tapes due to a major tape shortage. Right. The last question in this part concerns the radio communication time delay. How long is it? Let's see what the time delay is when universities talk to the ISS.
Okay, here we go. Hello, Commander Fisher and Commander Whitson and Colonel Fisher. It is an honor for all of us and those online to join you and all of your colleagues at NASA in the first ever live 4K stream from space. What is the ISS position in orbit right now? "11 seconds.
Well, we're just passing over Baja, California, and we're heading in an arc over North America. By the time we finish talking, we'll be over Central Africa."
Wow. Amazing. Amazing.
First of all, why does it take so long? 11 seconds? Secondly, they both clearly nod, agreeing on 11 seconds.
11 seconds. 11 seconds.
11 seconds.
And thirdly, this is very nice, the gentleman reacts instantly to the cheering of the audience.
Wow. Amazing. Wow. Amazing.
And this kind of time delay in turn occurs when terrestrial musicians want to sing along with the ISS crew.
Indeed. Your scenery looks a little nicer than ours. Have you a rusty floating guitar pick with you? Excellent. Mine is subject to gravity. Yeah, I know, yours matches your mission patch. Gleeks, are you guys ready to do this? Yeah! Chris, ready to go?
Yes, Ed, I'm ready.
Okay.
Let's do this.
Let's do it.
And orbiting in space, push back in my seat, look out my window, there goes home.
And here in turn we see the time delay when President Trump has a chat with space.
What are we learning by being in space?
Well, I think probably the International Space Station is providing a key bridge from us doing living on Earth to going somewhere into deep space. So
space is like. Could you share what a typical day looks like, what the challenges are, just any special moments?
Well, a typical day, we wake up and look at the messages from the ground.
It is about 3.5 seconds. However, the time delay lasts only 1/10 of a second when Donald Trump asks who a volunteer for the first Martian mission is.
Who's ready to go to Mars up there?
We are absolutely ready to go to Mars. It's going to be a fantastic journey getting there. And
the instant reaction is better visible from another, apparently an amateur camera.
Who's ready to go to Mars up there?
So, like in part 1 about stars, here you can choose 2. This time you can choose about how fast sound travels to the ISS. 1/10 of a second, or 3.5 seconds, or maybe 11 seconds. Summing up, we are going to Mars, though we can't go to the Moon. NASA has erased the moon tapes for more important stuff, and the speed of sound depends on the person who speaks or sings and on exact words. Songs, funny stuff, questions about Mars travel much faster than regular conversations. In the beginning, some oddities from the Moon. There are many anomalies in photos and the footage from the lunar missions. For example, the weird shades. It is really hard to buy the official story. It says that the photos were taken with a fisheye lens camera. Therefore, we may have the impression that it's not the sun that casts light, but 2 separate lamps. The only question is, why photograph such an important mission with a camera that distorts the real picture? Or the wires and puppet moves. Another absurd concerns the sky. This is the sky we see from the best spots on Earth, but the Apollo missions saw and photographed none.
The sky is a deep black when viewed from the Moon, as it is when viewed from cislunar space, the space between the Earth and the Moon.
However, I'd like to attract your attention to this, less popular observation. So the question here is, why aren't there any engine blast crater under the lunar module? Neil Armstrong weighed about 20 kilograms on the Moon, and he left such footprints. The lander weighed about 12 tons, so even with 6 times smaller gravity, it weighed 2 tons. This is what happens under only about 100 kilogram rocket. But somehow, the lunar lander made no tiny scratch on the Moon surface. It landed like an immaterial spirit. The second issue concerns the ISS storytellers. Why do they always talk about what they see and never show it? All the windows face towards planet Earth. There is no view from any other window, showing the cosmos as we see it from the Earth. But they will tell us this.
You know, and pretty much all the time you can see the stars.
It's not a black and white. I mean, it's black, but there's all kinds of polka dots.
There's all the stars there. And the cool thing is about it, you can see it during the day.
Yeah, you can, and there's more than stars. You can see planets. You can see moons.
You see the gas Magellan clouds of the
you
Milky Way
see
galaxy.
the Magellanic Clouds.
Magellanic. See, I just wanted the Magellan clouds. I didn't want to.
Can you imagine David Attenborough talking about animals and landscapes from a closed room? Isn't it a pure absurd? This is again the picture of stars from the Earth. For some reason, it's not possible to make a similar video from space. In the end, special effects. In the previous video I talked about the time delay discrepancies. This time I'd like to show you how NASA tricks us with the use of advanced graphics and suspension techniques. On every occasion during live broadcast, the astronauts and apparently their background crew are very keen on proving to all skeptics that they are really in space. You are going to see only the most obvious and compromising bloopers.
So let's use this model of the Earth, and let's enlist the help of a friend, Taxi. You might know her.
However, my favorites are somersaults performed by astronauts to prove that they are really in the state of zero gravity. Before you watch it, please look at how freely those amateurs float and move when a special plane starts flying with its nose down, producing zero gravity state for a moment. And this is how the same thing is done by professional astronauts on the space station. Summing up. Firstly, unlike quite light people, the heavy machines with big engines leave no prints on the lunar ground. Secondly, if NASA was responsible for a live broadcast from Paris, probably they would tell us about the city landmarks from a hotel room closet. And thirdly, the ISS crew are not as good acrobats as they are actors.